Cheers, everybody. We are back for another edition of Bourbon on a Budget. It's TJ Pittenger, Ben Cock, and not Brendan Sonnone. I feel like Borat saying that. Not Brendan Sonnone. We have sitting in with us. We've shouted him out on just about every episode that we've done over the last several months. He sent us bourbon. He sent me and Brendan bourbon when we were in Charlotte. My good buddy Joe. Joe, how's it going?
It's going great. I appreciate you guys having me on. And sorry, Ben, yeah. I will send you bourbon one day, if whatever you want.
Send
Oh,
it.
Dude, he has had plenty. Like everything you send, I don't drink it for like 6 weeks because Ben's taking forever to like hang out. So he's had half of everything you've sent.
Yeah, he's living in my backyard soon though. So
that's true. We'll zip line across the bourbon
ravine.
So Joe is hanging out with this week because Brendan is on a plane right now, trying to get on a plane, something. I mean, he's on his way back from a wedding, his first Indian wedding. I don't know what kind of bourbon like Indian folks drink, but first Indian wedding. I'm sure he's going to have some stories when he gets back. But, I mean, talk about upgrading. We're glad that Joe's here with us today. So he's going to love hearing that tomorrow. Joe, tell the people a little bit about yourself. I have no idea where you're going to go with this, but just tell us about who is Joe.
Joe is a better Italian replacement for Brendan. No, I'm just kidding.
That's definitely the title. That's definitely the title of the show.
I live in Jacksonville, Florida, so not too far from everybody. I am in Florida. I've been down here for a while. Born and raised in New York, but I'm glad to be in Florida. Enjoying the podcast and kind of been into bourbon, not for too long. And I know you might ask me a couple questions later, but and I'll get into that. But met TJ through my wife. They used to work together here in Jacksonville, and we have another mutual friend that was like, "Hey, TJ has a podcast now," and I knew him back in the day as Todd. So I don't mean to blow up your spot like that. I'm like, "Who the hell is TJ?" And I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
who's Todd?" So small world, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, for sure. No, we like hearing different people's stories. We like connecting with people, and so it's neat to have you. And thanks for stepping up, and joining us. I never wanted to be the guy on the first day of work when they were like, "Oh, Todd," "Oh, by the way, I go by TJ." Like I always feel like people always do that at work, and they're like, "I actually go by," and I'm just like, I'll just go by Todd. Like it's fine. But so it never really bothered me or anything. Like when people at work. But then, like, my wife would be like, "Hey, we're going out to dinner with these people. Why do they keep calling you Todd?" I was like, and then I'd tell her that, like, I didn't. Once they call it to you once, what are you going to change it on day 4? But on day 1, I just.
By the way,
I actually go by this. My name's Saturday, and I go by 6. Like whatever.
Did Kara call you Todd at that dinner? Just
never
go along with it.
I mean, usually you don't address somebody. Usually your spouse doesn't really address you by your first name, like when you're at dinner with them. Like, "Hey Todd, can you pass the mashed potatoes, Todd?" Like,
Sam was kind of defensive about it. She's like, "Who's TJ? Its name is Todd." I'm like, "I think it's TJ."
I'm gonna text her and say thanks for not even knowing who I am. So okay, we asked everybody this. I mean, people have similar stories. People have different stories. So if you tell us the same thing we've heard a million times, it's okay. How'd you get into bourbon? You're obviously into bourbon now. How and when? Like how long you been in?
So 3 words: Widow Jane decadence. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
kidding. You stole that joke before I could make it. Oh,
yeah, exactly. I'm roasting myself like B-Rabbit on 8 Mile because I've been getting killed on this show for the last 3 weeks with no defense. I happened to send a sample because I thought maybe they like it, and then boom, like all of a sudden that's like my favorite bourbon. Like
you were unlucky that's the one we tried.
I'm like pleading for my life in like a group text. I'm like, no, it's not. But no, that's not the reason why. So just I just in college is when I really started drinking. I didn't really drink in high school or anything like that, and I always kind of took the whiskey.
That would be illegal.
I always took the whiskeys, whether it was Jack Daniels or Crown or Makers. Those were ones I always enjoyed. Obviously, just mixed drinks and things like that, and taking shots or whatever. And I always, over any other liquor, I'd rather I was always prone to whiskey. And then an interesting story is I was a Sigma Nu, my fraternity in college, and there were two Beam relatives that were Sigma Nus like a long time ago, and I had to write their names down because I couldn't remember which one. But it was Colonel James B. Beam and then Thomas Jeremiah Beam, and so we would always say like, "Oh, brother Beam," and we'd always have a handle of Jim Beam as bad as it is. Like I'm not a fan of Jim Beam by any means, but it had like something special to us. So we'd always drink Jim Beam throughout college and in the fraternity life here in Jacksonville. So that was kind of my very, very primitive introduction to bourbon. And then just through mutual friends, my buddy, actually your buddy too, Ryan Mercado, he kind of really started transitioning me more away from just basic whiskeys. And I did drink scotch for a while. And Ryan started bringing some stuff over for me to try. And I really started getting into it. This was a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say I've been drinking bourbon for a decade. It's probably been 2 years or so. And then, the hobby or the hunt and the collection really, really kicked into gear at the very beginning of COVID. Bars shut down. You're staying at the house, and now you're just, stacking bottles and building a bar.
Yeah.
And that really ignited the love for it, and it's kind of been going that way ever since.
I remember Ben was drinking it earlier than I was. Like I started, I think May of during COVID, like you said, May of 2020. Man, I almost said 2021, but yeah. So about a year and a half ago, Ben, you started not too far before that, right? Like maybe a year.
19,
Yeah. So Ben was drinking it. And I was like, no, I'll just stick with my craft beer. And then I remember it was the pandemic. Literally, it took a pandemic for me to get into bourbon. But I think I made some pork or ribs. Like I smoked it. Ben came over. I've talked about it on our first show. Brought over 4 different types of bourbon. Kind of told me what I should and shouldn't be tasting in it. And instead of just like you said, taking a shot, like whoop, slowly drank things and picked out characteristics. Tried to taste what was good, what I liked, what I didn't. Again, I think those bottles were Buffalo Trace, Woodford, Double Oak, High West, American Prairie, and 1920. I didn't like 1920 then. It was a lot for a new person. Loved Buffalo Trace. Liked Woodford a lot. Super sweet. I could even pick that up then. And then American Prairie had like a smokiness to it that was different, like almost like a peppery smoky to it. I remember even to now. But yeah, same thing. Kind of mutual friend kind of said like, all right, listen to this. You're gonna try these and you're gonna like it. Let's roll into it. And then like you said, it's a different level too. Cause like I think Ben gave me like whichever one I liked the most, which maybe was the Buffalo Trace. I don't really remember. I think he just gave it to me. He said like, oh, okay, well you can have this. You can have the rest of this bottle. So that was my first bottle of bourbon. And then you're like at stores and you're like, oh, I need this. I need this. I need this. And fortunately, like my buying has slowed down a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty absurd there for like when we couldn't go.
That's the problem.
Well, and there was nothing we could do from May of last year when I started in bourbon until whenever stuff started opening back up, right? Like September, October timeframe, and stuff started getting back a little bit back to normal. And so like I was, the entertainment budget was just spent on bourbon. So, my wife had Disney Plus. It was like $7 a month and we were buying 7 or 8 bottles of bourbon a month. So people's stories. Ben's ratcheted up too. It's not just me. Like Ben's whole, like Ben had a couple of bottles. He's like, oh, you only need like 3 bottles, 5 bottles. His whole liquor cabinet's absurd right now. He's got it overflowing into his office and his kitchen and everything else.
Well, they're different, tiers. So you got to, separate them out.
There's the tier that Ben has just kind of I know what your tiers are. The tier that everything goes in the liquor cabinet in Ben's dining room. There's the special tier, which is you're looking at Ben right now in his office that's on both sides of his computer desk. And then there's the tier in the top of his closet that you hide from friends and family.
Exactly.
There's 3 tiers in Ben's house.
They're all hidden.
So hopefully your friends and family don't listen.
I knew things were getting pretty serious when I had it all started on a bar cart, trendy, like Sam was all about it. Like, oh,
it's
cool.
like 2 bottles and you're out of room.
Yeah. You got some decorations on there. And then now, it transitions to like a cabinet / shelving unit. And it's like, all right, things are heating up. So
yeah, our pantry's not. Go ahead,
Joe. I'll let you brag a little bit. You said that you did some bourbon hunting this past year. What are some of your nice bottles? What are you bragging about on Christmas Eve or Christmas? You're drinking special bottles.
He doesn't celebrate Christmas. That was very offensive for you to assume.
I definitely celebrate Christmas.
I was trying to get him, man.
Kwanzaa.
Yeah, he looks like the Kwanzaa kind of guy.
I do have a Kasha base bourbon downstairs. So
a what base bourbon?
Kasha, like Kashi, like the cereal Kasha.
Kashi, yeah.
What do they put in that?
I don't know. I just got it. I'll get back to you. It looked interesting. So, as far as, I don't have any like super elite bottles. Like, I don't have any Pappy or anything like that. I'm just not really chasing it. If I come across it, obviously, yes. But,
right.
I was fortunate to get into the vault and I got a Rock Hill Farms. So I was excited about that.
Nice.
My wife Sam and TJ kind of collaborated and they spoke about it he spoke about it on the show before. I have a store pick, Elijah E.H. Taylor, single barrel, which is real nice.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I have a Cream of Kentucky 13-year that a friend gifted to me, which is really nice. That's a good bottle, and that one's kind of on its way out, which is sad.
I love that bottle, and it retails high. It retails at like 140 or 150. But when I went to CW's Gin Joint down here in Tampa with a buddy, that was part of a flight that they had kind of advertised, and it was my favorite. It was my favorite on the flight. Like that is a fantastic bottle.
Yeah.
Man, I'm jealous of that one for sure. What are your we're going to keep drilling you on bourbon questions. And then when you get tired, when you get tired of getting drilled, just let us know. What
drilling? I'm not doing anything.
What are your like go-to, maybe not flexes, but like, what are your go-to, pours? Like, what do you really love right now? What are you kind of, into as far as if you're drinking every night of the week, what are your 2 or 3 go-tos?
Kind of on par with what you guys have been talking about. These makers stave expressions or, whatever you want to call them. They're just, I have, the cannoli one that you sent me, a Dippin' Donuts one from here, a Honey Barrel one from the local spot Brody's that I go to. They're all just, they do such a good job. And for that price point with the whole combination is just, that's one of my real go-tos right now. They're just doing such a good job with those. And then, really, I just dig store picks. I really like finding good store picks. I have a local shop, like I said here, Browdy's. They take care of me. Barry Browdy's the owner, and he, doesn't really go through. He has a distributor, obviously, but he's not picking through a distributor. He'll go up to the distilleries. He'll hand pick the barrels. He puts a lot of time into it, and he does a really good job. So I love getting some, different store picks from him or from his store. That's kind of go-to. And then some of these smaller, newer distilleries, I don't know if you'd call them craft distilleries, but Pinhook, Smoke Wagon, Blue Note, some of these newer ones emerging, they're coming out with some pretty decent products that you can get regularly, which is an appeal. You want to go to the liquor store and be able to find something, that the chase is fun, but sometimes it's exhausting.
I think we get burnt out pretty quickly on that chase, right? Like where you're like, oh, I got to find this, I got to find that. And it's great, and the thrill of it. But then you're also just like, dude, if I just sat around here with all this chase time and just drank bourbon, I'd probably be even happier, right? Like if I just drank instead of chase it like crazy. You're right on, man, with those maker staves. Like they are just such a great everyday drinker. I've got the dip donuts that you mentioned from the 904 up there. I've got a maple donut maple glazed donut, which is just one stave profile off from that one. They're very similar. I actually had the dip donuts 2 nights ago, and I got some chocolate in that. Do you get chocolate in that?
Yeah, that one definitely has a little bit of chocolate in there.
So I got a ton of chocolate on it, but the maple one, I don't get any chocolate. I don't know if that's my mind playing tricks on me or what.
No, I mean, I have the new his new honey. One of his big things is calling it a honey hole or a honey barrel, and his newest one is a honey barrel. And I didn't get any. It was very different. Although the staves aren't that far off,
right?
You still get
crazy
a
how just one
different
stave.
Yeah. Oh man, makes a world of difference.
The maple and the dip donuts are literally one stave off, and I truly get like a sweeter caramelly flavor on the maple. Power suggestion being what it is, maybe that's part of it. But I had yours by itself last night, or the night before, the dip donuts, and it was like all chocolate. And then Ben and I are, I'll let Ben speak to this, but we're right on there with the store picks. I feel like I kind of hoard those a little bit because they do kind of feel allocated. Because once that store pick is gone, may get more store picks of it, but that one is gone. My first cool purchase ever was an American Prairie High West finished in Chardonnay from Burns. And that one's still hanging on. Like there's like this much left in it, but it's hanging on, because
I think it's oxidized. It's done.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's also like it's amazing. Like it's so good. But anyway, Ben obviously loves gas bars. We've got some really good stores down here that do great store picks. But yeah, the store picks are kind of where it's at.
Yeah. And nothing against the Total Wines and the big box stores out there that still do store picks. You'll get a hitter, as far as a store pick from them every now and then, but these local shops that really handpick their stuff, it's just next level.
Yeah,
I think so, because you kind of start to develop. Ben and I have talked about this. You find out like whose taste profiles you identify with, right? Like, there's really no such thing as a bad store pick. Like, you just don't really like your taste isn't the same as the person that's picking it, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And so when you find that, I'll tell you, Burns here in Tampa, I've never had. Now they tend to go sweeter on a lot of stuff, and so that's kind of like my MO.
Mm-hmm.
Ben loves gas bars. We've gotten really good picks from other places though. Liquor Depot does a great job. Lucan's does a great job here in Tampa with some of their stuff. Like, there's really good stuff. I mean, that one you have is from Lucan's, that EHT single barrel, and I mean, you love that, yeah. So like I said, there's no bad store pick, but it is cool once you kind of like get in a groove with whoever's doing those picks. And you're like, all right, they put out another one, I'm going to buy it immediately because I know that I trust their tastes and they're similar to my palate. I don't know how you got into the show. I don't know how you found it. I don't know if Sam told you about it or if you just kind of like searched it or saw it or if I shared it or what. But what have been some funny or things that made you like the show or not like the show or whatever, man? Like we've patted you on the back a little bit, so like now it's your turn to come back around.
So again, Ryan, who kind of really brought me into the bourbon world, told me about the podcast. And the funny thing is, this is the first and only podcast I've ever listened to, and I listen to it pretty religiously.
That's right.
The cool thing about it is that you guys have 3 different perspectives. You agree on stuff, and you clearly have different flavor profiles. I mean, at times it's similar, but I can kind of pinpoint who likes what. But the chemistry on the show is fantastic. You guys are funny. It flows, which is appealing. You can listen to a radio show and you got 2 hosts that don't get along. It doesn't matter what they talk about. It's going to be brutal to listen to. So, so it's an easy listen for me, and it's good information. The top 2 topics in bourbon are probably allocated bottles and secondary market, and you're beaten down with that, and it'll be intertwined into your show every now and then because it has to be, but those aren't prime topics. You're talking about other stuff, which is fun to me, and that's I'm in bourbon groups online, on Facebook or whatnot, and they have their good points, but again, it goes back to like, where's Blanton's?
People flexing, people flexing with their bottles and watches and everything else.
We get it, like that's kind of why the pursuits and purchases is so great. It's like a quick flex, but you're not like all the time like, look at me, and it's just an easy listen, and I've really enjoyed it. So I appreciate you guys, putting it on and having me on too.
Yeah, no, I'll speak for all three of us and let Ben answer it too. But yeah, we at the end of the day wanted to be pretty easygoing, down to earth guys that just, Brendan said this at the beginning. If this never goes anywhere and never takes off or never does anything, then we're still just three guys that liked each other. And Ben can't even taste that. He's pouring more bourbon right now. But we were just three guys that liked each other and got to drink bourbon with buddies. Like the whole world went to Zoom for like a year and a half, and that's essentially what we're doing. And a few people get to enjoy it or whatever, then great, And so like we try to be pretty laid back, pretty easygoing. Of course, we're all pursuing Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. And of course, we're all pursuing Pappy Van Winkle 15. But like that's not what the segment's about. That's not what the show's about. Yeah. We like to vary it, like we like to talk about a distillery one week and then do stupid stuff like King of the Hill the next week and everything else. Like we just try to have a good time with it because Ben said this on the very first episode that bourbon is made to be enjoyed with other people and friends and family. And that's really how we view this. Like Ben and Brendan are my buddies. I mean, you're my buddy. We just like to enjoy bourbon and talk about it. Like it's a hobby. It's fun. And so like, we also don't take ourselves so seriously. So Ben, I'll shut up and stop rambling and let you talk about it a little bit.
What?
He said nice things about us. He said nice things about us. I figured you'd want to like say thanks or something. Like he said we had a good show and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well,
Clearly not.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We'll take any kind of compliments whenever people want to give them. If you are interested in coming on the show, send us to talk about how great we are. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
For those that kind of goes. Can you hear? I had to switch headphones like an amateur. It's my first show.
Good.
All right. I got wired headphones. They still make those. The tough love aspect of the show is phenomenal too, because that's how me and my buddies are. You just give each other a hard time, and it's a good time, and that's what you guys do, and it's so fun to watch. And we text on the side, and it's we joke about it, and it's a good time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all buddies, but I mean, it's kind of like that. How you always give your guys a hard time, or you always crack on them a little bit. Like you can't let them, get too big of a head or anything like that. That's why we always vote down Ben's packs, and he still has yet to get a vote.
Yeah, those packs are freaking rigged. Those are rigged.
Here's the thing.
100%.
I told them, Ben, I earned your intermediate pack. I gave you the vote. I was right there.
That's right.
You. Yep.
Winners. We don't have little baby pallets. You're like, can't have more than 100 proof in an intermediate pack. I'm going to spend $20 on my intermediate pack for a bottle. No. Get out of here. That was weak.
That vote came in after the cutoff, so it doesn't count. Sorry.
Power to the people. Power
fake
to the
votes.
people.
Okay? Fake votes. And fake. Yeah. What is
dictatorship?
I'm not saying the joke that we want to make. No, we like it. We're glad that you joined us. I really liked you until you said that Ben's pack was better. Do you agree that Ben's the best part of the show? Like, I think that Ben's the best part of the show. Like, would you agree on that? Or don't say me.
His complete uninterest in sports. Uninterest, is that a word? Disinterest?
Disinterest.
Yeah.
No interest in sports.
No knowledge.
It's one of the funniest parts of the show because it's the references, the misreferences. It's fun.
Yeah.
Don't much.
This bourbon really hits a double play with me.
Turn a triple.
Ben, what's crazy though is like he absolutely like sold out for the Olympics. Like he's up at like 4 a.m. watching all this crap and everything else.
The
like,
Olympics. How do you know
loves the Olympics?
That's kind of the theme with the common American. I mean, who watches any of those sports like ever and it's like the Olympics?
I'm
it's
ready.
Like,
I'm ready for the Olympics.
Yeah, and I told him I was like.
You're getting fired up at like 2 a.m. like,
shot put. I was like, yeah, basketball plays tonight at 10. He's like, I don't care about that. And I was like, it's the gold medal. I don't care about that. And I'm just like, it's like the only one I watch. I watched basketball, baseball, and softball.
Those are Olympic sports. Those are regular sports. Get those out of the Olympics. It's ridiculous.
I mean, say,
those are Olympic sports.
Yeah, well, they were on during the Olympics, so I watched them.
No, these are not. 3-on-3.
We mentioned this segment. Joe, what are you drinking tonight? Are you just drinking what we're reviewing, or are you drinking something
No,
else?
I kept it around the same proof. And this is a store pick. It's just an Old Forester
Oh, love
single
those.
barrel, just easy to
Nice.
drink. I wanted to keep it. I don't during the early part of the week. If I drink, I'm not going too heavy on the proof. Kind of keep it low key.
Me either.
Is that a 90 or 100?
No, that's 100.
Okay, they used to do those in 90s. So on that, where is it from your same place that you mentioned earlier?
It's actually from a different one. Another pretty reliable store here in town, locally owned. There's multiple locations, but they do a good job picking theirs as well.
So I've only had 2 of those, and on both of them, I got heavy Old Forester banana. Do you get that on that one? Or
Yeah, and I love the Old Forester. I love Old Forester in general. I mean, they just most of them.
Yeah.
Haven't done the mint julep, probably won't. But
I kind of want to get it just because people crap on it so hard. Just try it.
No,
it's like $20. Like, who cares? Just for the points. If it ever goes double points, I'll get it.
Yeah.
No.
But 100 proof banana Foster is just nice. It's nice.
Those are special, man. I like those a ton. I mean, I like everything Old Forester does, from their 100 proof to their 100 rye. We have ranked as one of our highest things that we've done. Obviously, 1920 was, did several rounds in the King of the Hill. 1910 is my personal favorite. Those single barrels are fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't addressed this yet, but Ben can't taste or smell anything.
Oh yeah,
but he's gotten over the COVID, no real symptoms, no side effects now.
Taste
right?
and smell.
Well, you're not like on life support or not able to breathe. So, but he continues to pour bourbon even though he can't taste or smell.
You got to get your palate conditioned. You don't want to let it get soft. You just got to keep it going.
It's like muscle memory.
You got to retrain those muscles. Maybe you should try vodka. I hear Wheatley makes a great product.
Shut up.
If you buy 40 cases, you can probably get a Buffalo Trace.
Get a Buffalo Trace thrown in. Yeah. Right.
Brutal. What would you do with a barrel of vodka? What would you do with 120 bottles of vodka?
They don't put vodka in a barrel.
No, I'm just saying that's the amount you have to buy. What would you do with 120? Like, if somebody dropped off 120 bottles of vodka to your door tomorrow, what would you do with it? Yeah.
I mean,
the water
spots
you
get
on
in the
like
house.
glass.
Yeah.
Take those off.
Outside.
It'd be good for you. Have a fireplace, Ben. I'm gonna have a fireplace soon. Maybe you could make some Molotov cocktails and throw it in the
propane,
fireplace.
baby. It's already ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know what else you would do with that much vodka.
Cocktails.
Yeah.
What's let's do pursuits and purchases. Let's talk about what we're gonna review, and then we can get anything else you guys want to.
Come to me last.
Okay, I will do. Ben, what would you like? Joe, do you have any recent pursuits or purchases? Ben feels like he has to grab the bottle and show everyone.
Yeah,
it's not a must. But what are you pursuing anything right now? Are you? I know, right? It'll be an Old Forester watch. Are you pursuing anything right now? Have you purchased anything recently? Like, where are you on the?
I mean, I could get into. There's a couple. I mean, probably like everyone, I am pursuing a Russell's Reserve 13 year. I'd like to pick one of those up. They hit one store in Jacksonville so far, and they were gone real quick. So I'm not hunting hard, but if I come across one, obviously I'd like it. An interesting one that came up today is the Costco here in Jacksonville just got the Kirkland bottled in bond.
Oh.
And I think is that did I ruin your thing? Oh man, did I go right into what was that, $25 or something like that?
Yeah, for a liter.
Yeah.
I hope it's better than the other one because the other one sucks.
Is it bad?
The single barrel?
Not bad. It
sucks.
It's a mixer, but it's $20.
Yeah. So I'd like to
bones.
get. I'm going to go pick one of those. I'll probably go pick one of those up tomorrow for $25 for a bottle in bond. I'll do that.
That's right.
But I do have one coming. A friend picked up for me out of state. It's the Penelope Barrel Strength Toasted series, and it is a store pick as well. So it's like the trifecta of barrel strength, toasted, and store pick. So that one's on its way. Hopefully it doesn't get wrecked like the last one that I showed you guys.
Yikes!
Disaster. No, so yeah, that one is my recent purchase, and I'm excited about getting that one because like you TJ, I do like the toasted, so I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, I definitely need a sample of that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's one that, and if your buddy can find more, like that sounds amazing. A barrel strength toasted. We've talked about that. The Michter's toasted rye is my favorite of their three toasteds between the sour mash and the bourbon. I think that the rye spice and the proof being so high balances that toast and makes it like the most balanced drink I've had. You know,
it's
the
nice.
Sweetness and the strength and the spice all kind of blend together. Whereas the bourbon and the sour mash are just like super sweet, marshmallowy. You know, not that there's not a time and place for that. Yeah. But like that's more of like a dessert thing for me. Whereas like the rye is like, man, I feel like I can share that with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I have pursued or purchased recently. So Ben, go ahead.
So similar to Joe, I picked up a bottle of Kirkland bottled and bond, 25 bones, whole liter. I'll give you a quick. Look at that bottle pop. I'll give you a quick COVID review of this thing. This will be the exact tasting notes. This
should be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Since you just linked it down the side.
Well, I got a whole liter of it, so I can do what I want. So think of this as like a strawberry cream. Strawberry cream. That's what I'm going to go with on that one.
Oh, I was expecting something random.
I know, way worse, but that's kind of I get this creaminess out of it.
My daughter turns 3 years old next week, and
interesting transition. Yeah.
Everything we ask her, when we ask her what something tastes like, everything she says strawberries. She could be eating steak. We've given her fish. If you ask her what something tastes like, she says like strawberries.
So me and Elena have a similar palate.
Similar palate as my 3-year-old. Yeah, like that was the transition / point there.
I also
you guys are like blood relatives.
Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about this yet. If I have, I'm just that excited about it that I'm going to talk about it twice. Have you seen this one yet? Have we talked about this? Michter's 10-year rye.
I think we did, but it's okay.
We did? Okay. Well, it's just as exciting as last time. Still waiting for the end of the year for this one. Also, definitely have to wait past COVID. So there's a lot of bottles that I just can't drink at the house because of stupid COVID, right? So I've been just drinking like daily sippers. As far as pursuits, I have been hearing, pay attention, gents. I have been hearing that Costco has been getting rare breed rye at their stores for $49.99. What a deal that is. So I'm keeping my eye out for some rare breed rye for 50 bones. That's outrageous. I'll stock up. I'll buy like 3 bottles. But if those hit our store, I will be picking those up because I'm pretty stoked. I've seen stores marked up to like $75. Like trying to go like allocated as that like kind of thing. Like Total Wine is like $75 for a rare breed rye. That's unacceptable.
What do you got? Is that what you guys typically see it down there for? Is in the 70s?
I see a lot of places with it at $59.99. To be fair, like right now, Lucan's has it at $60 or $59.99.
Lucan's is at $60 right now.
Yeah,
that's pretty decent.
That's not bad. The new price in Jacksonville for whatever reason is $63.99.
Ooh, that's a bad price.
I don't know where that came from, but that's $63.99.
So
do you think the rare breed? Do you think the rare breed? So like call it 60 and call regular rare breed bourbon 45.
I know.
Do you think it's worth 33% more? Do you think it's worth like that extra $15?
It's so
tough. That's a tough question.
A big jump. Now I get that you're getting a rye and that's a more expensive grain. I understand that, but the bourbon to me is so good, and I'm more of a bourbon than rye guy anyway. So like, if I have both of them right there, I'm probably going with the bourbon for $15 cheaper because I am cheap. I mean, not as cheap as Ben, but still cheap.
I'm more of a rye guy, so I feel like I gravitate towards the not $60. I wouldn't pay. It's hard for me to grab at $60, but at $5 more for 45 to 49, if they're at Costco, I'm probably picking the rare breed rye.
Yeah, at Costco, I agree. For like $5 more, but like for $15 more, I think I'm taking the bourbon.
I'm too cheap.
You are. You're probably. You're probably. If on the shelf right in front of you, there's a $45 rare breed bourbon and there's a $60 rare breed rye, you are picking up the Wild Turkey 101 and going home. Like we understand we understand your level of what's gonna happen.
101's great.
I am pursuing. I hate myself for this. I literally went through like no, come on. I went through like an entire week of only drinking
Wheatley.
the 10-year versions of Basil Hayden bourbon and rye.
Oh, what?
Oh, you
a
want the toasted?
nightmare.
You want the toasted one, don't you?
I do.
Please don't tell me you want
I do.
It's not even toasted. It's just basil toast, like a loaf of bread toast.
Yeah, it probably is about that strong too. It took me. I was crushing, and I never got a hangover because it was only 80 proof. But I was crushing those just to get them out of my house because I hated the fact that I bought them. And now I want the Basil Hayden toast. So like,
stop.
I bet it makes a heck of an old fashioned though.
No, it doesn't. It makes like water. Okay.
Do they not know what barrel strength is? They just can't put that together.
They have no idea. They
I'm so
love dumping water into their bottles.
But I'm gonna try it. I'm definitely gonna get it and try it. So that's what I'm pursuing. As far as a purchase goes, so like I talked about this a long time ago. But I got an old Rip Van Winkle out of the vault, and I think at one point I was thinking about flipping that, and I still may for like something else. Like I may try and trade up for it, like put some cash with it. But I'm not just gonna like straight flip that anymore. I think I'm gonna try and put some cash with it and drink it when we move. So like, put like $300 with it and get like a Pappy 12, or put like $500 with it and get like a Pappy 15 or something like that. Like kind of a special occasion bourbon. But we'll see. I'm not sure.
Have you thought about just like proofing that down to like 80 proof, like your other basils, and just
finishing it in a toasted barrel? Finishing it in my little barrel that Joe gave. When did I was thinking about that the other day, and I was going to ask Joe when it was, but then I also realized that I took an Instagram picture. I'm trying to figure out when we did that little project, or like when I put the bourbon in there. So I did that May 21st.
Ooh, 3 months.
So if I did that.
It's almost time.
May 21st, June 21st, July 21st, August 21st. But it's like 3 to 4. So like we should go like one more month from now.
Sure.
Right.
Whatever you think will make it taste better.
I mean, really,
whatever you do.
What you should do is, you just pick a special occasion and just wait till then. Like there's no point in popping it early. If you have nothing to do with it, just let it go a little bit longer. Because like what I did with my first one was it was ready, and then I was like, I don't have any reason to dump it. And then I think it was the NFL draft, and I'm like, perfect, bunch of buddies coming over, I'll dump it. And then
So 4 months.
What did you think? Yeah, what did you put in there first?
Buffalo Trace.
No, Joe. What did you put in there?
I put Redemption Wheated bourbon in there.
Mm-hmm.
We had it up in Orlando.
You're right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we tried it.
It was very sweet. It adds a lot of sweetness to it.
Yeah, so it's probably going to get sweeter and sweeter because the second batch I did put a 12-year rum in there, and now that's dumped. And the rum, I'll drink it. My father-in-law enjoys rum. I put in I took a Early Times 101 liter bottle, peeled the label off, filled him up a nice bottle, and gave it to him. And now High West Double Rye is in there. So I figured the sweetness of the rum, and then you got the rye. With the original bourbon in there, and that'll probably be my last one. I don't know how many you could really get out of those little tiny barrels.
So you just get it? Will you just buy a new one at that point, or?
It's been really fun. And it's really cool to have. I don't know if I'll keep doing it. There's so many barrel picks available. I don't know what next. What am I going to finish in there next? I don't know how much it'll, be appealing at that point.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder about a tequila. Like if you did a bourbon and then tequila in it.
Maybe honestly, if I have this barrel, I may do one more and I could put a tequila in there
just to see what happens.
Side note, actually, I did find they have the tequilas that are finished in the Buffalo Trace Antique collection that are kind of high end. I found one at Total Wine I wish I would have had the brand, but it was finished in an Elijah Craig barrel. It's on the bottom shelf, tucked away. $40. Añejo tequila finished in Elijah Craig barrel, and I still have some. It's pretty solid if you can find it. I mean, for $40, those Buffalo Trace Antique Collection ones are pretty pricey. So this one wasn't bad. So yeah, I wouldn't mind putting an Añejo in there with after the rum and the whiskeys, but I don't know if I'll buy another barrel.
Yeah, it's been cool. Like I've obviously only got my first one out of it yet, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, talking about special occasion, 4 months will be like end of September, and then I think I'm closed on a house like a week later. So maybe that's a good time to
Perfect
pour it,
time.
Special occasion. So
right.
feed that to
whatever
our
you do
kids
though.
and be
Once
set.
you dump it, if you plan on doing something with it, make sure you fill it immediately. You can't let it dry out because the wood will contract, and then it's pretty much of a waste. You won't get any, benefit from the barrel if you put something back in. So make sure, even if it's just water, just make sure you fill it back up.
That's a good tip. So if I dump the Buffalo Trace out,
be ready.
Immediately put like the rum or whatever I'm going with next in it. Now that makes sense. Other than that, I don't have any pursuits and purchases. That's pretty much everything. All right, Joe, tell the story about this new Riff bottle that we're going to, on Thursday, Joe's going to stick around and he's going to review this new Riff single barrel bourbon enthusiast pick, 103.1 proof. Yeah, good bottle. We're reviewing that on Thursday. A little bit of a fiasco getting this thing, though.
A little bit. Yeah, and haven't had the issue. So like I said earlier, good buddy of ours, Ryan, kind of introduced me to the bourbon enthusiast. So I start, following his stuff. He has a nice little Instagram page, nice following, has a great little club that you can join, and you can get access to picks, different tiers where you can get access to better picks faster. And funny story is that it turns out that I know the guy. He's from Jacksonville. And I didn't know that early on, but ended up knowing him. But so I've been buying a couple bottles from here and there. It's better when you buy in bulk, like to save on shipping. You don't want to spend $15 to ship one bottle. But anyways, I talked to TJ, and we're gonna get a couple bottles. I think we ordered 4 or 5 bottles, 4 bottles. Yeah. And what you don't realize is that obviously this guy's not keeping, barrels of bottles at his house. It does come from a distributor that also handles the shipping of it. And I did not know that they come from different areas. So if you order 4 bottles, 1 may come from one place, 2 may come from another place. So it's kind of complicated behind the scenes, which is a little disappointing. It was a little frustrating to say the least. Well, we order 2 New Riff single barrels and 2 other bottles. Well, the 2 other bottles come pretty quick. I send them all to TJ, and he gets them. Well, there's no New Riff single barrel, no sign of it. The email has the exact same tracking information for the New Riff as it did for the other bottles. So there's no way of figuring out where it is. I had to go full Karen style on the distributor. They typically do a good job. I'm not going to mention their name. There's no reason to, but it's a pretty big website that handles it. And email after email, I'm like, what is the deal? Can you please just give me an update? Like, where is it at? If it's not coming, just send us our money back. Like, come on. And I think it took a month. Did it take a month? Did it take longer than a month?
Several weeks from order day to bottle in hand, probably a month. Yeah, a couple more weeks to get it.
So luckily, because I ended up having to go to the bourbon enthusiast, and I was like, bro, like this is a disaster. And he apologized. And he's like, I know, people have had these issues before. And I'm like, well, you need to kind of address this, man. Like, and he did. And, he had a very hands-on approach. And if it wasn't for him kind of getting involved in the situation, I don't know if we would have ever got the bottles or gotten a refund. Who knows? Because you just keep getting generic emails saying, we're working on it. We're looking into it. We're working on it. We're looking into it. But it was a battle. So, loses availability points if based on that situation. But we finally did get it after a long time. We never thought we were going to get it. At that point, we were both frustrated. We were like, just cancel the order, like it's over. And then finally, he came through and he's like, listen, I took care of it. It's on its way. And we finally got the bottles, and hopefully we're going to enjoy them.
So after all that, we're going to review it on Thursday. They both aged this in a new charred oak barrel and a toasted one. So something a little bit different, a little bit of toasty action. Ben, I'm sure you'll love it.
Toast.
I'm glad we got it though, because he does do a good job of selecting his barrels. So shout out to him, Bourbon Enthusiast. If you want to follow him, give him a little plug right there.
We'll be the judge of that.
It's quality. It is quality stuff. So
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it for sure. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for hanging out tonight.
Absolutely.
Ben, thanks for showing up. I know you skipped last week, so we appreciate you being here. We will review that on Thursday. If you're on social media, if you can go follow us, Bourbon on a Budget. Joe, again, thank you so much for hanging out and being with us tonight. See you guys next week. Brendan, we'll see you on Thursday to review it. But we'll see you next week. Brendan should be back. Hopefully Taste is back for Ben as well. So see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Ben, accept my friend request.